I started playing Rainbow Six Siege back when Boom Headshot Woman and Magneto first appeared in the game, so this was the end of 2019. And I played it for a couple years, had some grand old experiences, some nice gameplay videos that I shared to the world. So I think I'm pretty qualified to give you the average gamer's perspective on Rainbow Six Siege. We now turn our attention to the first thing games need, which is new players, or lack thereof.
I'm gonna teach you how to do the basics, because it gets really complicated. Okay, so you can just cycle.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah, so just press
I've always
one.
wanted to do this.
Oh god, no!
In this video I was teaching my friend Furtree Man how to play the game. Keep in mind this guy's a master at Apex Legends, so it's sufficient to say he knows his way around an FPS. But even he was having trouble keeping up with all Rainbow has to offer. And so we're going to go through step by step exactly what makes Rainbow so bad for new players.
Advised, Op 4 has located a bomb.
Got him.
Like most other FPS games, in Rainbow you generally want to aim where the head is. However, due to Rainbow's massive range of mobility, predicting where the head is going to be is quite difficult. Because you have standing, you have crouching, and you have prone. 3 positions which the head could be, and you have to calculate where it's going to be. Not an easy thing to do when you're starting out. In addition, body shots are basically worth nothing, so whoever locks onto the head first wins the gunfight. And of course, if you try to correct your aim while firing, like most people do, you're going to run into an issue called recoil, which is very heavy in this game depending on the weapon, sometimes making your cursor go halfway across the screen. This mechanic is very unlike most popular FPS today.
You did it!
Arguably the most important part of Rainbow Six Siege is the utility and loadout screens. Now while each operator has their own signature utility, they also get secondary utility, items such as bulletproof cameras, impact grenades, breach charges, stuff like that, all which add another layer of mechanic for new players. So on top of having to learn what their operator does, they also have to learn what these secondary utilities do and when to utilize them in a game. Add to that the complexity of choosing your weapon loadout, such as the attachments like barrels, sights, stocks, all of which will significantly affect your aiming ability and recoil management. Also, each weapon has specific limitations, like unique recoil patterns, unique ADS time for some reason, and only being able to work with certain attachments. And you have one very complicated piece of Rainbow Six Siege that happens before you even get into the game.
Okay! What a way to start it off.
Now obviously in that clip that's just me and my friend messing around, but when you get into most of these games, you will notice a lot of toxicity, not only in the chat, but also the voice chat, because Rainbow has that. Especially if you're a new player, you will get flamed for the smallest things, such as placing your utility in the wrong place, choosing the wrong weapon, or not scanning enemies enough, or even as a pretty experienced player. I remember Rainbow was one of the first games I got into this whole competitive ranked environment, and the toxicity in those games, even though I was in low gold, it was still very prevalent. And you think, oh, this is a noob lobby, right? Everyone should be nice to each other. Well, you're wrong. No matter your skill level, there are still people that will flame you for doing even the smallest mistakes.
What the hell? Hi!
Droning and using the cameras is a very integral part of this game. Having intel can mean the difference between life and death. Shooting someone in the head and getting shot through a wall. That's basically what can happen. And for new players, figuring out how to use the droning and camera systems effectively is quite hard to do, especially when they are destructible and they can be shut down very easily. In addition, there's the whole operator gimmicks which utilize them, which most people don't really know when they're starting out. And so coming from a classic FPS where this isn't a mechanic, it's very confusing to wonder, how did I get shot through that wall, or how did he know I was going to be there? And the answer is intel, but that's just something that new players really look over.
How does he know I was there?
Shut up.
How does he know?
I didn't know that was a room.
How does he know? How does he know?
What?
What?
Whoa!
All of the previous points culminate into what is called the learning curve of Rainbow Six Siege, and it's the reason why so many new players give up after some time, because it's just so hard to learn the mechanics of this game. It takes a lot of time and practice and a lot of dying over and over again before you're able to master these mechanics and really start getting some kills out there. So it's a real grind just to even get competent at this game, which is why, understandably so, many people don't really want to spend the time on it, and I don't blame them. In fact, I don't really spend the time on it anymore either. Now, as someone who's played the game for about 4 years, I think I have enough experience to start talking about some of this. For the longest time in Rainbow, there was only the practice tutorial missions that we had to be able to train our aim against quote-unquote skilled opponents. There was, of course, that limited time game mode, the Halloween, I forget what it was called, some stupid Candyland Muppet thing, but it was the first time that we really saw or at least the first time that I really saw, a respawn deathmatch sort of environment in Rainbow Six Siege where you could really train your aim and you didn't have to worry about sitting on cameras and watching people for 5 minutes when you died. And so that was a really good opportunity that Rainbow really should have expanded on and made a permanent game mode so that people could train their aim like that, but they didn't. Not for a long while. And I know recently there has been the addition of a firing range mode and some sort of arcade mode where there's like a bunch of different mini games that you can play. Now, it's great that they added that, but it took them this long to get there, when really it should have been their priority years ago to have a training tool in place so that players can train against other players instead of the stupid AI. Now, this next point is something I've heard repeated a lot through basically all my friends who used to play Rainbow with me, and they say that the game has changed far too much. From the UI being way too simplified, to the operators becoming very unrealistic and more sci-fi, it seems that Rainbow is deviating from what it used to be, which was a tactical, realistic, simple military sim shooter, into something that seems a little bit more like Overwatch. I mean, it's already got the toxicity, what else does it need? Anyways, when you change a game too much or you add changes that seem to affect the core of the game, people tend to start noticing, and sometimes people like it, other times people don't, and I feel, at least in my circle, everyone that I played Rainbow with, these changes were negatives. And it's led to basically everyone I know dropping the game. I have not played Rainbow for about a year now, so... Oh boy, the ranked system of this game, where do I start? So I started out way at the bottom. I started out at copper and I had to make my way, grind my way all the way up to gold. Then of course there's insane losing streaks that you go on, as with any ranked game. However, Rainbow doesn't really have a lot of penalties in place, such as when players leave games, or if there's toxicity in a lobby in ranked, especially. That's very, very common. And so what ends up happening is someone will either rage quit the game or someone will disconnect and you're forced to play without a teammate, and I get that, but there's no compensation for that. So basically you're playing without a teammate, you're guaranteed to lose at that point because Rainbow's such a team integral game, and the amount of smurfs that there are in this game, and the amount of potential hackers, because BattlEye is not exactly the best anti-cheat. So in a game where you can shoot through walls and a one-shot headshot, you think that the anti-cheat is supposed to be very beefy, but there are plenty of cheaters in this game, and you see a bunch of them get banned basically every time you log in. There's a little feed that pops up in the top right, and so I had my glorious fall from gold all the way down to the lowest of the low of copper, and that's pretty much where I stopped playing ranked. For me, Rainbow Six turned me off from ranked gameplay in any game ever. So I've just stopped playing ranked altogether. Competitive gameplay is just not for me after I went through that crap. Now, as you can see, there's a lot to complain about in this game, but this is just my personal experience with the game. I'm sure other people have probably way better experiences, or way worse experiences, you never know. But this video is supposed to show you why Rainbow Six sucks in the eyes of the average player, such as a new player or someone who's just getting into it, or even someone who's a little bit experienced but isn't the best. I feel like I am the average player because I am not a pro, nor am I the lowest of the low. Now, in spite of everything I've just said, Rainbow is not inherently a bad game. There's some great aspects to it, like the diversity of your strategies on offense and defense, the selection of operators, the weapons, the loadouts. It's great. There's a lot that you can do in the game, and I've had a lot of great memories with friends. I made some nice videos off of this game, but what I've talked about today is just some of the problems that are really deeply rooted within the game's core, whether it ranges from mechanics that prevent new players from getting into it, to a lot of changes that the community and experienced players don't necessarily like. These things culminate into the suckier parts of Rainbow Six Siege, and I feel like in today's state of the game, they really show. They really take over, at least for me. And it's hard to look over them. There comes a point where the negatives outweigh the positives, and you're no longer having fun in the game because of these things. They keep showing up, they keep annoying you. It makes it very hard to get friends into the game, and most people already dropped the game around you, especially in my circle. There's no one really plays it anymore. So hopefully this video enlightened you if you are a new player looking to get into the game. Just beware, it's gonna suck for quite some time. But who knows, maybe you have fun in the end. So go give it a try if you want to. Ignore it if you don't. Anyways, thanks for watching this video, and if you want to subscribe, you can. If you don't, you don't have to. It's free. Do whatever you want. Alright, see you guys.
What was that?